Hey, welcome back to the show. Appreciate you being here. For subscribers, appreciate you coming back. For you people that are new here, we hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're here again in take 2 with Michael Diamond, General Managing Partner for Nexa Capital. And we're going to talk about innovative financing, but thanks for your comments on the last video. We got some great feedback about what are the next steps. So, good morning, Mike. Appreciate you coming on the show again. Thank you very much. And so let's talk about some next steps. Somebody actually has to take your idea and do something. So thanks for taking some time so we can figure out what the actual actionable items are for next steps. So the government could take action, industry could take action, but we talked earlier. So your preference is that you think that the industry should take action. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. I think that firstly, the SENSR RFP, or SIR, whatever, when it comes out next year, should be prepared and written so it asks the right questions about how to fund the gap that exists in the program. And for that, the industry consortia that are forming today to pursue the project should all encourage the FAA and the procurement people inside the FAA to script the RFP to be able to solicit ideas and formalize those ideas for funding the gap. So as consortia bid on the project, coming with a ready source of capital to in effect underwrite the program until the spectrum auction is a great idea. The FAA has a track record of doing this, by the way, and you recall, Charlie, from the ADS-B procurement back in 2007, the RFP when it came out specifically asked for creative and innovative financing approaches to funding that greenfield project.
Well, it's a great advantage that the FAA has AMS under its purviews to be able to do these more unique things, which would be maybe less available under FAR. But there isn't a need for congressional language or anything like that, or is there? Does Congress have to be involved?
Congress does not have to be involved. The AMS has all of the requirements and precursors to the FAA asking for innovative programs that can solve the funding gap. The spectrum auction is a piece of legislation that's already in place, the Spectrum Reallocation Act of 2015. So one consequence of this legislation existing today is that the AMS can tie in to the auction process itself, the repayment of the bonds that will be issued, the public bonds that will be issued to fund the SENSR program between now and 2025.
Okay, so FAA has to put the language in, no other real actions have to be done. So now we go to industry. What do they have to do from today to respond to this?
Well, here's why it's important that industry, in effect, lead the effort. When an innovative financing program such as this is formed, the capital pool necessary to construct the new radar systems will be of sufficient size to permit a winning consortium to accelerate its design, manufacturing, and production capabilities to produce significant volumes of radar components and systems. And that takes money, that takes capital, and a private sector partnership, which would in effect make that capital available early on, can be the most effective structure. So the consortia need to build into their final bids on a fixed price basis a new schedule and better costs, because the funding is all guaranteed. In effect, we're putting together a capital pool that will guarantee that the project can be completed to the end. So a winning consortium would be one that would take advantage of the production scale that this can afford, and also the members of the consortium, of each consortium, would be wise to have a civil construction partner. We think about SENSR as being radars, but in effect, what needs to be done, especially with the L-band radars, is that there will need to be 120 some odd projects, generally in the vicinity of the existing L-band radars, and the construction, the pouring of the concrete, and the road systems, etc., leading to these new greenfield facilities can be started right away. That gives the radar manufacturers more time to get their designs working correctly and to get their production plans in place.
And all this should reduce the risk, obviously, because you get going, money's available. Don't have to worry about the the issues that take place on various appropriation fronts, which should maximize the auction, which I know is a huge risk. And so it'll be okay in the SER. The people that really want to bid on this need to get together to obtain that, at least the plan for the capital now, so that their proposals would match the funding that they would bring to the table.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we talked last time about the possibility of having insurance to cover any delta that may come between the success of the auction and the payment for the project. Who has to go do that, and how would that work?
Well, firstly, the bonds that are sold to finance the project will be insured two ways. The first way is through traditional bond insurance that's provided by bond insurers. It has somewhat to do with the cost of the insurance, has somewhat to do with the risk profile of any given project. But the second is that if the construction schedule can be maintained, and I think there's some assurances that can be extracted from the winning consortium, then the auction, the success of the auction can also be insured. In other words, we can go into the insurance markets and acquire a policy that would ensure a minimum amount of auction proceeds. That too is a risk-adjusted cost, but the insurance industry is quite mature in that respect these days. I mean, they're making big bets on satellite launches. This is just like that.
Okay, so you as the provider of capital are the one that have to take that action. And obviously, then there has to be a real plan to be able for those insurance companies to engage and be, I guess, intimate in the planning and the proposal process so that they'll understand that risk profile.
That's right, and we can bring insurers into the bidding process directly, having them as partners in the consortium.
So last time we spent a little bit of time about the special purpose vehicle, that sort of board that would truly oversees everything. Are the insurance companies a part of that? The central figure? Yeah,
they're part of it in a couple of ways, but for the most part, which we will do with the insurance programs that we envelop around this project. It all is going to be focusing intently on getting the L-band construction underway soon. Of the 123 L-band radars that need to be vacated prior to the auction, concentration on those is vital and very, very important. Now, the other radars that are going to be funded through SENSR, the schedule for those can come toward the end of the L-band replacement. The idea and the goal is get the current radars that are transmitting on L-band out of L-band so that the auction can proceed with the greatest success possible.
Okay, so we've got language has to be appropriate for the SER to bring capital to the table. Have to get that part of the planning process. Businesses have to get part of the planning process now. That also means engaging the insurance companies if that's of importance to both them and the government, which I think it is. Then what? Is there a step after that, or do all the remaining steps come after responding to the SER?
Well, I think if the FAA as the lead procurement agency can come to understand the importance of giving bid flexibility to the consortia so they can get a true competitive runoff here, The performance goal that needs to be established very clearly, and where the consortia themselves have to accept risk, has to do with when is the last radar, the last L-band radar, going to be up and operational. That's the goal, and the consortium that wants to win this project would have to sign up for that issue. Now, what does that mean? There are significant civil engineering and civil construction elements to this program. It's not necessary to design and field a radar, a phased array radar, in 2021. It's more important to get the construction underway so that the 120 some odd sites can be prepared to take the new radar systems. And that is a long lead item. So let's get going on that side of it. The construction component of this being a very significant project, we need to see some of the largest engineering construction companies in the country step up and become part of these radar consortia that are forming. So that's part of it, I think, is really understanding, and I think the FAA has a role to establish priorities for the rollout of these systems by understanding the civil construction side is vital.
And that's just another big component from what we know is the manufacturing capacity of panels and electronics that really isn't that's been distributed around the globe, but being in country would be we would be very stressed. So all these things are putting huge stresses on those risks. So certainly the money side should get cleaned up as soon as possible, so that at least you can take some risks out of these programs. It's got risks in each place.
Right, exactly. So the other elements that one can consider with these innovative financing programs include such things as the investment group funding new manufacturing facilities. We're happy to put up capital to prepare the manufacturers better to be able to achieve the volumes necessary to make this program successful. We also think that if funding is needed to do more non-recurring engineering up front, then that's fair game too. We can advance substantial funds for that and amortize that investment over the entire life of the program.
Cool. All right. And so then after that, setting up the organization and all those kinds of things would occur sometime after the SIR and a down select process was complete, and then the whole package can be put together based on a consortia's proposal with the funding that's laid out based on their proposal, so it's all sort of nicely wrapped in. There's a bow tie.
That is correct. So when the award is made, it will be necessary for the investors, the bondholders, the government agencies, and the consortium to enter into multiple agreements that cover off the elements of the project itself, including the risk mitigation elements. Even insurance, which will be vital for this program, needs to show up at the closing table, so to speak, as we finalize all of the legal agreements for this project.
Cool. Well, hey, now we have our next steps. Mike, thank you very, very much.
It's a pleasure.
Fantastic. Hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.